Welcome back, sword enthusiast. Today we're going to be looking at the Atanak full Tang Katana, uh, forged with 1060 high carbon steel. The total length of the sword is 40.55 inches, and the total length of the sword without the saya is 39.4 inches. As you can see here, it comes well boxed. It did not come in an Amazon box this time, it just came as a regular box like this, but it is like shrink wrapped, cellophane wrapped. However, it's very well boxed. Has the styrofoam inserts. Comes in a bag, just the regular plastic bag. However, there was no shrink wrap on the Ito, which is kind of strange. I've looked at a lot of these swords, and most of the time the Ito comes shrink wrapped. However, there was nothing wrong with that part of the sword whatsoever. The Ito was fine. Come well lubricated, like they do. Blade was shrink wrapped. But the total weight of the blade total, with the saya, is almost 3 pounds. It's 2.93. The blade length is 28.3 inches, which is kind of the norm for these, Chinese katanas. The Tsuka length is 10.6 inches, so that makes the overall blade length 39.4. I know some of them are 41 inches, but this is on the shorter side, of the katanas. I do like the saya on this sword. They're, it's not shiny, it's kind of dull, it doesn't show all the fingerprints. However, I do not like all the gold accents on swords like these. In the Ito, the gold accents, I'm just not a fan of. I know, some of that was common back in the day, but they were mostly brass or copper or whatnot. But I'm just not a fan. I guess I'm more of a antiqued brass, or a more of a darker colored accent guy. You can see it's kind of a plain Jane, bits and bobs. It does have a design on the pommel there, but it's kind of one of the mass-produced ones. The Tsubas, I like it a lot. It's very nice. I do like these open Tsubas that have been ground out. No hot spots on the sword. Everything felt good. The habaki and everything was tight. No problems with that. Here's the accents that we're talking about. I just don't care for them. I don't know why. I guess I don't like the bling. But I guess I'm old-fashioned in that way. The big issue I had with this sword, honestly, was the Ito. But we'll talk about it in just a second. You can hear here with the saya, it moves around quite a bit, and the sword is extremely hard to get out of the saya. It's very tight. You can see here with the thumb press, I cannot get it out. And I'm pushing pretty hard. I actually have to shake it back and forth to get it out. So it's very tight. I'm sure if you keep using the sword in that shape, the actual habaki is going to come loose, Everything was tight on the sword though. Try to move stuff around. The Tsuba was good and tight. Habaki could have had just a little bit of movement, but it seemed fine. But like I said, if you keep using it with the saya as tight as it is, you're definitely going to have issues with that habaki at some point. There's no insert on this. It's just straight wood, the saya. No insert on the bottom. I do like that, but I just wish it fit better. This is the issue I have with the sword here. Didn't do any cutting or anything before it. Didn't drop it, nothing like that. These videos I do straight out of the box. And you can see I got a roll on the tip, and I don't know if that was at the factory or if it doesn't just fit the saya correctly, if it's just a little too short, the saya, but definitely a roll on that tip. And here the Ito is so loose. It's probably the loosest one I've done yet. Even looser than last week with the jipping. I do like the spring steel blade, or the 1060 blade, the 1060 blade on this one better than I did on the jipping one. However, the pommel you can't move like you could on the jipping. I could take the one on the jipping completely off. This one here, it's really tight, so it's been glued on. But otherwise the Ito is, this sword, you can't use it a lot without that becoming an issue quickly. The wrap on the saya is, feels cheap. Feels like cheap shoelace, but it's $69.97. It is what it is. It's a starter sword. Try to see if you like collecting katanas or using them or whatnot. Wasn't very sharp. You do get a sword bag with it. That's kind of a cool thing for $69. I don't know why they just don't ship the sword in the sword bag like Shadow Dancer does. It doesn't make sense to me, but I just put it in the sword bag there, just to show you what it looks like. It's nothing fancy, just a polyester sword bag. But the sword, like I said, it's only $69. Would I buy it? If I was wanting to try to get into it and, wanted to try it out, sure I would. But, that's ultimately up to you and your decision. But you guys have a good day, and I'll catch you in the next one.